Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind The Country Chic Cottage. If you've been around here any time at all, you know I've been kind of in love with engraving metal with my Cricut machine. I've been successful with engraving metal with both the Cricut Explore series as well as the Cricut Maker. So today I'm going to engrave garden markers. So I thought these would be an amazing spring craft as well as something you could give like mom for Mother's Day. Now I am using an Impress Art garden marker kit. Comes with 6 garden markers and they're the perfect blank for your Cricut machine. Today I am going to use my Cricut Maker with the engraving tip in the quick swap housing. However, I will link below to a video where I engraved metal with my Cricut Explore series so you can see that process, and if you have a Cricut Explore you could look into doing that on your machine. So now let's take a look at the supplies we're going to use to make engraved garden markers with a Cricut. The supplies you're going to need are as follows. So we're going to use a strong grip mat with strong grip transfer tape. I'm going to use the engraving tip on the quick swap housing on a Maker machine. I have shown in previous videos how to use the Explorer to do metal engraving, and I will be linking to a video in the description below. You also need a brayer, a stamp enamel marker, and the metal garden markers themselves. I'm going to use these metal garden markers from Impress Art that come in a kit. They already come with some engraving on them. All you have to do is add the words for whatever you're planning and the stamp enamel. So let's head to Design Space and design those words. The first thing to do is to add your text to Design Space. So the font I'm using is called Close to My Heart Flower Market 1. I found this font by searching Cricut fonts, clicking filters, and filtering for writing fonts. This will make fonts that are not an outline, but actually draw with a pen, or in this case, the engraving tip. So I put my 3 words onto my canvas, and right now they are writing functions with the pen. So we want to change our machine, and in this case I'm going to use my Maker 3. Then I'm going to change each of the operations to engrave. Before you do this, make sure that these are the size you want them to be. So I wanted mine to be 0.1875 tall, and then whatever length they turned out to be. I did make sure that both the length and the width would work on my garden markers. Now that all 3 of these options say engrave in our layers panel, we are ready to make it. So you don't need to do anything else to these. We'll just click make it and take a look at how to move them around on the mat. Start by cutting a piece of strong grip transfer tape to where it'll fit the garden markers you want to engrave. Then you're going to turn that transfer tape side down on your mat. Remember, we're going to locate the blanks on this mat in the exact same location that they're located in Cricut Design Space. So put your transfer tape in the right spot. Roll over that with a brayer. Make sure it's down really well. Then just peel away the backing, leaving the transfer tape on your mat. You will want to remove any blue protective film on both sides of the blank. Then I'm going to put the blank's engraving side up to engrave on this side. If you want to engrave on the opposite side, you would put the other side up on your mat. Then you'll just use the white lines on the mat to line everything up. So I made sure the engraving on this side was past this 1-inch mark, so I knew where to start. And then I put each of the markers on one of the white lines so that I knew that it was straight. Now I'm going to use a brayer to press them down well and locate them in Cricut Design Space before engraving. Now that you have your garden markers on your mat, you'll know where to move them in Design Space. These need to start at approximately the 1-inch mark, and they need to be slightly above the 1-inch mark on the mat. You can also zoom in on this mat using these buttons, and that may help you locate it a little bit better, see the lines a little bit better, and narrow in that location. So I'm going to start mine right at 1 inch, and I'm going to move them slightly up. And I'm going to repeat for each of my markers, trying to get them in about the right location. Now these markers do vary in length a little bit, so the parsley is not as long as the other 2. So I might want to move it over a little bit so it's closer to maybe the middle of where those other 2 would be. And once I have everything exactly the way I want it to look, I am going to click continue. Now we're ready to hook up our machine, pick our material, and engrave our garden markers. I picked stainless steel as my material, and I do want to move these white star wheels over, and I don't want them to be on the transfer tape or the garden marker, so move them over far enough where they won't be on either one. And then be sure you load your mat where you press it all the way to the left against these guides. That way it will be located correctly. And then load the mat. Then you can press go to start engraving. Then once it's done, you can unload your mat. So there you can see the engraving fresh off the machine and how great it looks. So let's talk about finishing these up. To finish these off, first you'll want to remove them from the mat. So I'm just going to pick up the transfer tape and remove the garden markers. You may notice a little bit of debris on the markers as the metal was etched, and I like to pick that up with my transfer tape. And I'll repeat for each of these garden markers, removing them and cleaning them up a little bit. Once these are removed, it's time to make the engraving pop a little bit with a stamp enamel marker. Now I like to go over the engraving I just did, as well as what's already on the marker. And to do that, I have a black stamp enamel marker. These do come in a wide variety of colors. Feel free to pick the color you would like. If the marker's new, you might have to get it started on like a scrap piece of paper or a scrap paper towel, and you'll just color all over the engraving, allow it to sit a few minutes, and then we'll wipe away the excess. As you can see, I just sort of randomly colored in the entire thing, and now we'll wipe away the excess. Just wiping away all of the excess off of the garden marker with just a paper towel that I'll dispose of. Now hopefully you can tell that that engraving on the bottom sticks out just a little bit more than the one on the top. This step is optional, but I personally love my stamp enamel markers, so I'll continue with my other garden markers, and this completes our project. These are ready to go. One of the reasons I love engraved metal projects is because they're so simple. Like, it was such an easy project, only took a few minutes, and now I have cute engraved garden markers to give as a gift or to keep for my own garden. And they're metal with engraved names in them. That means I won't have to remake them year after year after year, and they'll last a really long time, which is something I am so excited about. So if you're as excited as I am, be sure to pick up that Impress Art kit with the 6 garden markers, your engraving tip for either the Maker or that engraving tool for the Explorer, and start engraving away on metal of all types, including garden markers. What else have I made? Well, I'll link to a few videos below. I've made bracelets, necklaces, ring dishes, like tons of different engraved metal projects lately. You just would not even believe all the engraving I've done. So I will link to a few of those videos in the description below as well. Struggling with how to get to those links? The links for everything I've used along with the videos I talked about are in the description below the video. If you're on computer, scroll down, click show more. If you're on mobile, click the arrow to expand the description or swipe up on the video depending on how you're watching. Then you should get a full and complete list of links that you can click on to purchase supplies or find videos that I've mentioned. Now, if you have any other questions about engraving with your Cricut machine or Cricut crafting in general, feel free to ask those in the comment section below. If this video helped you, if you liked it, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank y'all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.